Hello everyone, I'm Tarkesh and we are back with a new episode of Talking Sports with Tarkesh. Especially since India is beginning a new era of Test cricket, starting from the Tour of England that begins on the 20th of June. There's so much to discuss about the longest format of the game and how India's fortunes rest in red ball cricket, especially after the retirements of two stalwarts in Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma. So let's just get cracking. And after a massive season of T20 cricket, which saw the 18th campaign of the IPL conclude, I think we are all well rested after the 15-day long break to now start watching red ball cricket, test cricket, and analyze how we stand as a team in the longest format of the game, especially after failing to qualify for the finals of the World Test Championship for the first time in three editions of the tournament this time around. Well, speaking of the Indian team, it wears a completely new look side. If you remember in 2014 when Virat Kohli took over the reins of captaincy from MS Dhoni for Test cricket, the Indian team still had quite a few players who had been toiling hard for 3 to 4 years, such as Cheteshwar Pujara, Ajinkya Rahane, Ravichandran Ashwin, Ravindra Jadeja, Umesh Yadav, Mohammad Shami, and all these guys came together to form the core of that side and then started dominating since they approached the peak of their career at a time when Virat was at the helm of the captaincy. But right now, we encounter a completely different situation. Indian team has players like Sai Sudarshan, Arshdeep Singh, Karun Nair, who many of them have been quite experienced, especially as Indian cricket fans. We know them by watching them almost daily in the last 2 months due to the IPL. But red ball cricket is a completely different gravy, and that's why I feel that there are quite a few challenges resting ahead of the Indian team, which they need to approach quite cautiously after the 3-1 series defeat in Australia, after the 3-0 series defeat that they faced at home against New Zealand. So there are quite a few challenges to approach, encounter, and overcome before they go on to possibly register India's first ever series win in England, Test series win in England since 2007 when they won a three-match series by 1-0 under Rahul Dravid's captaincy. So, first of all, speaking of the venue Headingley in Leeds, it is known to be quite friendly for batters, but at the same time, it under specific circumstances, under overcast conditions, it can prove out to be quite a handful for the batters at the same time because under overcast conditions, bowlers tend to get a lot of purchase off the pitch. But one thing working in India's favor over here is for the first 3 days of the test match, weather is expected to be extremely warm, quite pleasant with no presence of cloud. So on 28th, 21st, and 22nd, temperatures in northern England are expected to be around 30 degrees Celsius on average, which will make batting quite easier, quite friendlier for the Indian team. They can take inspiration from how Aiden Markram paced his innings along with Temba Bavuma when conditions eased out during the World Test Championship final. You can expect similar circumstances, which is why I feel that whichever team wins the toss, especially if India does, they should look to opt to bat first because they have the possibility of putting out a mammoth total on the board, which can always help you settle some nerves once you're starting a new series with a completely new look side in new conditions under a new captain. So if India wins the toss, it is advisable that they go out and bat first. But otherwise, on the final 2 days of the test matches, the temperatures will reduce drastically by around 33% to settle at around 20 degrees Celsius, which could make batting in the fourth innings quite difficult, which is another reason that whichever team wins the toss might look to bat first. So the gods above will have to be kind to Shubman Gill in his first assignment as the Indian Test captain when he walks out for the toss. I hope the coin flips in his favor. Speaking of the team, the batting lineup could see Yashasvi Jaiswal and KL Rahul open the batting. Now, Rahul had somewhat of a decent series in Australia. He aggregated two half centuries. Jaiswal started the series on a bright note by scoring 161 in Perth, but then his impact began fading out or wasn't as superlative as it was in the early parts of the series. So, but both of them have experienced playing abroad. Jaiswal, of course, hasn't played much in England, but Rahul, it's his third tour of England. So I expect him to be the main man in the batting lineup and to show the same amount of calmness, composure, and the sheer authority with which he's been batting with when we step out for the batting duties. The middle order especially wears a very interesting look with Karun Nair and Sai Sudarshan expected to be slotted at number 5 and number 3 respectively. Now, one thing working in Nair's favor is now all of us have talked about how he scored around over 950 runs in the recently concluded Ranji Trophy season and led Vidarbha to the title, scored 750 runs in Vijay Hazare Trophy, led them to a runners-up finish. So one thing working in his favor is that he has form behind him, but also in the last 2 years he's played 10 county matches in England, which always counts for a lot because he must be aware of the conditions, the seaming swinging conditions in this part of the year in England, and how he can tackle and encounter and tackle them appropriately. He also scored a century in the warm-up game, so that is quite pleasing to see. Sai Sudarshan, a lot of experts have said that he's passed the eye test, which means a player who has the necessary repertoire of skills to succeed in many conditions, especially overseas conditions. His batting looks extremely compact, but at the same time, quite positive also with the way he fetches boundaries. He scored nearly over 750 plus runs in the recently concluded IPL season. But one thing that worked in his favor was that he was always looking to score runs. He was never unleashing outlandish shots, and that's what has sealed him the ticket for the test team despite averaging less than 14 first class cricket. So he has got a point to prove over there as well. And so does Shubman Gill, who averages 35 after 32 test matches. His average in Senna countries dropped to sub 20s. And a lot has been said about his inability to tackle seaming conditions since he's been prone to getting knocked over, dismissed quite a few times over the last few years, as seen against James Anderson and quite a few players in both the IPL as well as test matches. So Shubman Gill, batting at number 4, taking the onus from Virat Kohli, will have a huge task on his shoulders, and so does Rishabh Pant, who's now the vice captain of the team. But in Pant's played 2 tours of England, scored 2 centuries as well, has by far been the best Indian wicketkeeper batsman to have played in English conditions. So, and his approach of just taking the game on by itself could serve him well in Test cricket when the ground is opened up, when the field is opened up. In the last Test match that India played in England in 2022, he scored 146 runs in Birmingham, if I'm not wrong. So Rishabh Pant's contributions have often been vital for India's Test cricket fortunes in the last few years since he's managed to rack up runs at a time when top order hasn't been delivering consistently. And one should watch out for how his performances pan out across a 5 match period, especially since he did really live up to the expectations in the tour of Australia and had a disappointing IPL until he finished it off with a century in the last match. The bowling lineup is expected to be on the lines of 4 pacers plus a spinner being Ravindra Jadeja, who also scored a century in the last test that India played in England, which was in 2022. The other 4 pacers will be Prasidh Krishna, Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Siraj, and Shardul Thakur. Shardul Thakur has been roped in after the Ranji season where he took 35 wickets and also scored a century in the intra-squad match that India played against India. He reported to have scored around 110 runs. So he adds a lot of cushion with the bat at the number 8 position. In 7 innings in England, Shardul has scored nearly 3 to 4 half centuries, which is a better performance than many of the seasoned Indian batters have managed to deliver in those conditions. So Shardul's contributions with the bat will be vital. Just the fear is that I don't want India to fall to England's trick of taking on Shardul and just blowing him out with runs like they did in the fifth test match of the 21-22 series when he went for 118 runs at the expense of only 1 wicket. So Shardul will have to keep a watch over his bowling, but his batting is what might secure his spot at the number 8 spot. Bumrah will play only 3 test matches, so gates are open for the likes of Harshit Rana or Arshdeep Singh to break into the lineup. Siraj, with his prior experience of 21, could be quite handful, especially with the new ball. And Prasidh Krishna has been in top form in both domestic cricket as well as the IPL, so he is likely to partner Bumrah in the pace unit. Overall, the Indian team wears a very fresh and exciting look for the Tour of England. In Headingley, India has played 7 matches against England over the years and managed to emerge victorious twice. In the last win that they got over here, which was back in 2022, they scored 628 runs with Rahul Dravid, Sachin Tendulkar, and uh, Saurav Ganguly all scoring centuries. So the recipe for success here is clear. You need to put big runs on the board up front and then hope that your bowling clicks accordingly. What are your predictions for the Tour of England? I'll be coming up with a series of previews and reviews after each match, of course. But if you would like to see any other sort of videos, do drop it in the comment section. Do drop in any feedback. I've changed the studio setup over here. So just trying to record more videos out of home too because the commute from the studio and all that, to avoid all that hustle bustle and to provide and to roll out videos in greater frequency. So just drop in your thoughts about that same in the comment section about any feedback, and let's continue catching up over the course of this test series. Thank you.